We know that hundreds of thousands of times a year, people board our buses and depend on us for trips to work, school, shopping appointments, recreation, and all kinds of other things. They rely on our service to reach their destinations and return safely. Grant us the wisdom to make decisions that keep our service running safely and reliably. Every passenger's journey is a responsibility that we take seriously. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
to the
of
flag
the United
United States of America,
to the
to
republic
the
for
republic
which it
which
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
with
liberty and justice for all.
justice for all.
Excellent.
Wasn't that a good end?
Always.
No, always been not as good as that.
Well, always again.
Always when Bernie does it.
Yeah, okay, I might hear that again next time then. Roll call.
Ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Melissa Bilka,
Not make it.
Captain D'Angelo. Zero Eckel,
Here.
Billy Jean Johnson. Marvin King,
He's online.
Elijah Method,
Present.
Bernie Silverman,
Present. Also.
Nicholas Twig,
Yeah.
Randall Wallace.
Here.
Have one.
All right, thank you. We have the agenda in front of us.
Didn't realize that it was printing out on 8.5 or 11 by 17, but it works.
Have the agenda in front of us, or any, I have a motion for the approval of the agenda. I will say that Brian, in great wisdom, put executive session at the end this time. It's only going to be a very short one, and we don't have to change the agenda for that. But I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion. Approval of the minutes of September 25th, 24. I have a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the minutes of September 25, 24, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The acknowledgement of visitors. I think we have no visitors. Do we?
Yes, we have no visitors.
Yes, we have no visitors.
We have no bananas.
Okay, then we don't have any public comment. Okay, let's go to committee reports. We begin with service pack. Dr. Twig.
All right, the Service Pack Committee met last week and we went through some of the things I wanted to have Brian address for us today, and the first one will be the update on the survey. Where we stand right now.
So, with, I think we have 4 outside surveyors at this point, maybe a 5th coming online, 3.5, maybe.
Maybe two.
Then we also have staff, Doug's kind of taking it under his wing to get surveys done. This week, we actually got 96 surveys. It was actually pretty good productivity. If we can do at least that, maybe a little more than that this week and the following week, we should be pretty close to having enough to be statistically valid. I'm gonna need some ridership numbers for these 3 weeks by hour. So that we can match it up to see if the following week we need to do some targeted trips to try to get some surveys done. We will have additional help next week with the consultant bringing a couple folks, planning on placing them at the transit center and getting people up on getting out when they're getting on and getting off the buses, that type of thing. So to really kind of pump up the volume on the number of responses. I don't have any data yet, but I think the big thing for us for this iteration of the onboard is getting a average trip length on the system. And the reason for that is if we get that average trip length, we can multiply that by the passengers and submit passenger miles to FTA in our NTD report. And you know, that's a good proxy for that. Won't be able to do that next year, but we'll I think we will be able to get that approved so that we can make that entry into NTD because we are going to be a full reporter this year.
Can we extend that information for a whole year?
It's for FY 24.
Oh, okay.
So then FY 25 is gonna have to be a different procedure in order
The
to.
information that we give them from this survey will be FY 24 information.
Right. So, and it's a one-time deal, like they'll let me do that. I think that's it on the survey. Well, we're also getting information about how they're paying their fare. And then, the normal demographic type stuff. So, we'll see how it goes, but, we are kind of piecemealing it together and, operations staff, Lauren doing a good job of making sure that we're covering the trips, every trip and, we'll just keep on getting it on until we get it done. So, and, Marvin, their surveyors have been doing pretty well, I would say, in all. So,
Okay, good.
appreciate.
I may have
the help,
one more for you to fill in. Yeah.
Excellent. We'll take what we can get.
Okay.
And then the other stuff we did in service pack was looking at some ridership. That's all
Right.
kind of in process.
Well, on the survey, could I know, what are we actually measuring? I know we have a list of questions and all that, but I think it, just as a quick reminder, what we're doing, are we logging people when they get on, and what time they get on, and what time they leave, or
Yeah.
comparing them to
What route they're on, where they got on, what time they got on, where they're getting off.
how that compares with what we're supposed to be? Actually, it's indicated,
I don't necessarily know if we're doing that. I think we're looking just
More
more
bench.
for drive for passenger statistics and, origin and destination.
And benchmarking. I mean, the last survey was in 2016, and it didn't make much sense to compare it to that
right,
analysis. Systems quite a bit different.
right, because we took those data back then,
Right.
but that was a different focus.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that we might be able to compare it to would be the demographics, if that has changed at all. But the system is 20% different, so I don't know there'll be much. I mean, we will have some information on transfers, that type of thing. And so I do hope it will be able, it'll be the last piece before we can kind of put a bow on the fare structure analysis and figure out what we're gonna do for fares next year.
We also, at the service pack meeting, Brian gave us a comparison with the 23 versus 24 road stats. Some of it was interesting.
Good and bad. It was good and bad.
Board.
I think we need to meet a couple more times and kind of look at that, and then we can report back to the board.
Yeah, there were some interesting things with ridership went down. We saw the ridership went down, but passenger fare miles or something went up.
Well, I mean, I think, and I don't have it in front of me. I'm
Right.
sorry. I think, I probably should have it in front of me, but, I think the biggest surprise is 17 is killing it. Route 17, the Myrtle Beach to North Myrtle Beach. Even at 2 hourly service, has very similar ridership as the 15 South, which is 75-minute frequency, and serving a much longer distance and been around for a while. 7 and 15 South went down from previous year because they went from 60-minute service to 75-minute service. Oh, make me
So connectivity
it up. Passengers per hour for the urban system went down a little bit, went up for rural. But I think a lot of that is because of the cuts we made on 16. Those trips that we made that we were no longer doing on 16 were not really high productive routes. So the productivity of the remaining service went up a little bit. Overall ridership went down, for the route. So, yeah, I mean, I think we just kind of scratched the surface on kind of looking at all this stuff, but, and we gotta do something about the entertainment shuttles. The entertainment shuttles are, not great. We gotta figure that out. And ridership went up from last year, but I would attribute that to lack of fare more than anything else. But we've got to figure out the marketing side and maybe get some more help from our partners to try to push folks onto that, onto those services. I don't have exact numbers for Vanpool, but Vanpool did about 5,000 passengers. Not too bad, for
Yeah.
5 vehicles in operation right now. So, it'll be interesting to see how that grows.
Thank you, Brian.
Yes, sir.
We also discussed the FTA visit, but covered that in general manager's report.
Yep.
So that's all I have, so it's back.
Okay, well, we know that the survey's been a long time coming with a lot of impediments along the way, so I congratulate you for getting it going and doing a good job and, getting it behind us eventually, on the path.
We are definitely forcing it.
Yeah.
But, and we'll come back in the spring and probably do some follow-up as well, I think. Especially if we know we're expanding services, I think we need to go out. We do have a
Yeah.
question on there on what people think we need to do better. Where do we need to expand? And I would probably want to get a little bit more of a follow-up on that type of stuff as well.
And as far as entertainment shuttle, I think we can really discuss that or begin and not take a long time for that discussion at the retreat on
Okay.
14th. Because Lauren and other people who arrange it, Doug and I don't know who else, need a amount of lead time. Get that thing started or changed or whatever it needs to be done to it. Any other questions for our service back committee? Okay, moving on to finance committee. Is Marvin here with us? See him, but
He's there.
Name
comes.
Yep, I'm here.
now
Yeah.
Marvin last time at the committee meeting asked really hard questions, which I don't
Sorry about that.
understand. So I'm gonna give it to Marvin and hope I understand this time.
Actually,
Marvin, you're
yeah,
up. Thank you.
perfect. Welcome. So actually, I am here. So let me transition.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Wow, that was magic.
And
I'm here.
Perfect time.
Right?
I did, right? I was waiting outside just for that time.
Wow.
Yeah, so no, we just asked questions about just ridership and fares, just to kind of see if there were any correlations between that. So just get a sense of where we stood on ridership and how that, I guess, really translated into finances, whether or not we had any issues there. And I think Brian pretty well answered that. Whereas I
Trying
think,
to remember.
Yeah, yeah.
I've done such a memory dump since then, unfortunately, because I'm trying to fit other stuff in, but
yeah, I think what we came up with is that, ridership is obviously important and does play an important role, but it doesn't necessarily have a direct impact on what funding we get. Funding is primarily really from the population in the area.
yeah, right. Well, and yeah, the question related to how does poor ridership affect us long
Right.
term from a financial perspective? And I think really I don't remember if I said it last week, but I think the only thing I would add to that conversation is that, our fare box recovery rate, which is total expense divided by the revenue generated from fares, vice versa. Fares divided by expense. So take admin out of it. It's just drivers, mechanics, all the stuff under, basically
Operations and
on
maintenance.
this line without some of the admin stuff. And, it's in the 5 to 8% range, depending on month. And that's really low from an industry standard. So,
And the industry standard would be,
well,
the number I heard was 18%.
yeah, I think systems our size is probably between 15 and 18%. And I think, that's gonna be problematic for us in the near future. Hopefully, long term, we can get to that number. But it's a combination of not having great ridership. And then also our fare structure, people are used to paying $1 now, so that's now our fare. And we're gonna be raising it from that perspective, at some point, hopefully next year. I think we're due for it. And And I think that in the fare structure analysis, that was kind of a point that was missed by the consultant that I've been trying to hammer on them about. It's like, give me a target for fare box revenue. And the reason why they're having trouble getting me that is because of the elasticity of fares. Like all of the empirical data out there shows if you do essentially a 50% increase in fare, which would be what we would do if we got to from $1 to $1.50, you're gonna see a 40% drop in ridership. And I don't know that's necessarily true because of the level of transit dependency in our system.
And also because of how low we are now.
Right.
Right.
Fair number. If it was $3 and going to 450,
Yeah, right.
that's different.
That's, yeah, right. And so there's nothing, it's like doing ridership projections. There's nothing out there. There's no tried and true measure of doing it. It's just one of those things where we need to do it and then see what the stats say. And then when we look at future increases, we base our elasticity on that elasticity. And, maybe with a additional factor in there because we are going from a higher price to an even higher price. You know what I mean? So that would be the $1.50 to $2. But now you're talking about a 33% increase in fares as opposed to a 50% increase in fares.
If we lowered, even if their elasticity numbers were correct, our fare box recovery would stay the same. We'd lose customers, but we'd make more money on each one.
Well, it depends on the discounting. I mean, there's a lot of factors in that, but if we got a 40% hit in ridership at $1.50, we would not be, it shows a reduction in revenue. And that's the problem. The math doesn't really work very well. It's suggesting, and I don't know if you guys remember, but before we did the tab system, I was thinking that going down to $1 might help our ridership and improve our fare box recovery, and it didn't really materialize. It's so based because it's all transit dependent ridership, and for every hour of service we put out there, we get 8 to 10 people, 8 to 12 people. And so we took hours out of the system. For every hour we took out, we lost 8 to 12 people.
Well, when we lowered from $1.50 with a 25-cent transfer and went to $1 for every ride, did we lose revenue there? Because some people paid less, but a lot of people paid more.
Yeah, I don't, it's interesting because I think that the transfer rate in our system wasn't as high as we thought it was. Like back in 2016, it was pretty high. But I don't know if the route changes or how things changed out there a little bit, but what you're talking about is under the current system, somebody's gonna pay $2 to transfer. Whereas in the old system, they're paying $1.75.
Right.
And I just don't think there was enough people in the system that did that to really move the needle.
Yeah,
Maybe because of that, they stopped transferring. They rode the 7 and they used to transfer over to the 10 to get up Oak Street. Now they just walk up Oak Street. Those types of things.
Yeah.
So I was hoping what the dollar would have done for us was it would be more price competitive for someone to get on at Joe White and ride to 31st. Short trips like on Kings Highway
Not
would
spend a
become
buck and a
more
half.
cost effective. Yeah. It's a lot of long haul trips. That's one thing we should see is, I bet we're at 60 to 70% commuters. And that's who's using our system as workers downtown
Yeah.
for the most part. And so that's a long trip. We're not getting a lot of money for that long trip. It's just, it costs a lot to produce that long trip.
Yeah, someone coming from Brown Swamp or by where I live or somebody to Myrtle Beach for $1.
Paying $1. So in our fare structure, we need to probably address that a little bit. We used to have that $2 express fee coming out of Georgetown. Maybe we look into some sort of zone structure or I don't know. And we have the technology piece to address before we even put that to bed. So a lot going on here in the last part of this year, so.
Would it help, like say we're gonna raise the fares, like start announcing the fare raise in January to come on board in June or something? That might, with enough people knowing it's coming, and might be less of a shock. I don't know. That's something I don't know.
Well, we have to, in order to raise fares, we have to go through a public involvement process. And
We'd be out there with it.
yeah, we've got some answers to, on how we're gonna handle cash, how, all of that stuff has to be answered before we really get to the final answer on what the fare structure is gonna look like. But we gotta get it done. So we got a lot of people working on it. We've had some really good conversations with vendors about it. So we'll see. We got the security issues related to cash handling that we need to really address. So we got a lot of work to do on that front.
And will you address the change situation with going to $1.50 if we do take that?
Not yet.
Suppose, I'm not saying we should do this, but suppose we change the tap to the cap to $3. We think that would move the needle on people using the tap?
I think that would push people back to cash. Oh, you mean the cap to $3?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think there's some thought in terms of if we're going to $1.50, like the consultants are suggesting that we do a monthly cap in addition to the daily cap. So that monthly cap would have to be a deeper discount. Well, let's just keep it in our current term. So if the cap is $3.50 and they're going, they're traveling 20 days a month, which is what workers typically are, or even a few more than that. So what is that? That's $70. So we want a discount on the 70. And so
Regardless,
so that's how you provide an additional reduction for somebody who's using the tap system.
regardless of that, we still got the issue of quarters and the
Yes.
fare box requirement. We already not reduced it. There's still gonna be some quarters in there. And I still fearful when we tell people we can't make change for you, our drivers are gonna take a lot of crap. Can't get on, can't make change. I just.
We will have to address that. And I'm not sure what the answer is at the
I don't
moment.
either.
We're gonna have to have an answer by the end of the year.
Do we have, okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Back to, once we had announced the fares and we have to have public comment, what is the minimum amount, the time? He said January to June a minute ago, but what, is there, we had to have public comment. Is it 60 days?
30 days.
30 is all?
Yeah.
I don't know why we gotta solve these other
We do.
problems anyway. Why would you wait 6 months?
Well, I hadn't really gotten a
Yeah, I don't-
a calendar in my head. I think we probably want to have it in place before summer.
Yeah.
So, but that means, working back, we probably need to start the public involvement process by April 1st in order to pull that off. But we can do it sooner.
That's what I'm saying.
I
Why
mean, I
would you-
usually like to implement something before summer.
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends on how the technology discussion goes.
I'm more interested in how we're gonna afford to buy the new fare boxes. We're just dodging it, but it's gonna happen.
Well, we have money in the budget to buy a diamond box,
But it-
but we got cash handling issues. with
yeah,
that,
it's
so.
gonna solve the
I
problem.
don't want Candace dumping boxes out onto the table in there and
Yeah.
money, so we gotta figure that out too.
I got one more
And
question.
she didn't want to do it at all. So.
Like, most of our riders are commuters. They're not homeless and they're not recreational and whatnot. So do we have any data or any idea if these people have credit cards and don't want to use them, or they don't have a card?
Well, I think there's a lot of all of that plus the lack of confidence. Like somebody typically doesn't want to use a card just because they don't want to get overcharged or, and so, it's a full gamut of reasons not to do it. And hopefully we'll get a little bit of insight into that with the survey when we're asking that question.
Well, if we could sell a cash card out here, that might help a lot. People,
That's a possibility. Vending machines are a possibility. The problem with, Kimley Horn doesn't think we can go completely cashless, but they do think we could go cashless on the bus. And so that requires vending machines. And whatever those maybe we're bringing in a closed loop card that the validator can use. So there are a lot of options that we can do. We just gotta get to the bottom of it. And I think a large part of that is our efforts to kind of take a step back and find integrated solutions on a number of things. The other issue with the gen fares going away is we're not counting passengers. So are we counting passengers with the validator, you know, hitting a button on the validator? Or are we bringing in APCs, automatic passenger counters, which are little lasers that they put on the doorways and actually physically count people? So that ask of the technology community will be, okay, vendors, come in and bring us a team where we can address all of this soup to nuts.
Mhm.
And, you know, it'll include a new app. It'll include, bus stop enunciation. I mean, it's got to have all of that. It's got, you know, I want, our destination signs to be changed automatically. So there's a lot.
Those ones that used to do that.
I do, actually. We used to have those at UVA. So
They're for
my
sale.
1963 City Slickers.
They're for sale on eBay. They're expensive.
That's something that every archivist needs.
I would buy one for my hometown thing.
Yeah, for New York City.
No, well, I grew up in New Jersey, really. Anything else?
On finance in general or what?
I got a couple.
I have one.
Finance here.
Yeah, we can, so from there, we kind of talked a little bit, being that this is pretty much our close here, that just on some of the numbers, obviously, we had a lot of red, but most of it was explainable. I mean, some of the things like tires and just kind of came out in this cycle, but felt like just the overall value didn't move the needle pretty much. That tell you.
Well, I mean, we were down close to 400,000. And if you count the reduction in, or the under budget on fare revenue, you know, close to 500,000, but we brought in 550 in additional revenue. So all in all, we evened out a little bit. There are still a lot of expenses out there that are not hitting the expense sheet. I think the biggest example of that is stuff that we're doing for the acquisition of the parcel. You know, paying legal fees and getting geotech and things like that to keep that process moving. That will be reimbursed when we buy the property. It'll be one transaction with RTA. We'll get all of that stuff rolled into it, realty fees, those types of things. But which is why we're still kind of hurting on cash. Keep fighting that fight.
Talked a little bit about the LGIP and trying to get back there and have enough plan to get back up to the numbers that I think we can and should be at. And just to be in compliance as well.
If ride for passes.
Yeah.
Did we in fact make an LGIP
We have
confirmation?
not, we have not. I had another engine package hit. Had to pay for that. We got one more coming, right? One more engine package here. Looking at you, Tom. Is that in process or have they started on that one?
It's already done.
The fifth one, the fourth one? No. The third one's done. Do we have a fourth one on the way? 12th one is.
What's about 130,000?
So about right closer to 100, like 98.
That's
thousand.
engine only, not transmission.
Engine and transmission.
Okay.
And so far, the two that have been done are operating pretty well and moving around, so that's good. They're doing,
Without any trouble.
perfect. One here.
Been a day and a half changing the oil in my tractor. I don't know how you get the buses running with an engine package. It's amazing to me.
Well, we're sending those out. So that we got, but you know, our guys have done it in the past, but, yeah, no, that's a big job.
At Finance Committee, I asked Brian, he clarified for me, a note on the income statement on facility maintenance, a reference to cost associated with the Tom's new building. And Brian said that's, the at 220,000 a year is covered by grant, that's capitalized, so that's not what was referring to there. What came out of that though, I asked, how much longer do we have the grant that's paying the 220?
We have another year out of it.
And what month will that, I'm saying, down the road, we're gonna have, we will not be in the new facility if everything goes well.
Correct.
Time that in. We're gonna be paying $220,000 a year out of our current operating funds without a grant. And what month and what year?
I think it's December of next year.
It's
But don't
20
quote me on
be-
that. December of 25, but
that'd be
in that
20
neighborhood.
That'd be the 26th budget.
Yeah.
Okay, so, okay.
Yep.
That's coming, guys, down the road.
I mean, there is the possibility of an additional
Brad,
capital grant, but
yeah, you can talk,
we'll see.
you can talk to these guys on the 11th and 12th, Fred. Oh, thank you. But you explained that for me. I just want
Yeah.
people to know that's
Yeah, and
coming down the road on us.
on the expense side, we are paying another power bill. We're paying another, all that stuff associated with that building. We're paying extra.
Who does housekeeping out there for us?
Actually, we don't do housekeeping up there. Those guys
You
keep their
do.
place clean.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
do
Yeah, someone does it.
You guys didn't know that Tom got a promotion. So.
Good, thank
Well,
you.
the boss does everything. That's it.
So,
Let's just leave this.
I know in past a few times we've talked about issuing bonds or things like that.
Yeah.
So any further thought on how we play that game once we,
Well,
if we get there, hopefully?
yeah, I mean, honestly, it's all predicated on what happens on the 5th. I think a couple things come to mind, assuming that the 5th is a successful day for us. I think if the vote passes, then it's, basically status quo from an operations standpoint for the time being until we really have shored up our financial position completely, which would include paying off any kind of loans we have to do to make ends meet next year. I don't plan on putting any more service out there, until we kind of have that plan for, we got, actual cash in the bank for our operating reserve. I do think that, I would like to approach the county about using a line of credit as our operating reserve to meet their requirements. So it's not money that we would actually borrow, but it would be relatively liquid that we could use if comes a bad day.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
We're estimating a $1.8 million check on October 15th of 25. That's about what the sales tax for the first quarter of its would amount to. And so I certainly wouldn't want to borrow all of that, but we borrow a significant amount of that in order to make ends meet. The other thing is bus buy. The state has not been all that forthcoming with when and how much money they're gonna have available for buses, but I'm gonna need to find some match money for that. And so, in order to make that happen I got 12 in the fleet right now that need to be replaced yesterday. I think that's an investment we need to make. So we'll see. Also planning on asking both counties for additional funding in their FY20 in the upcoming cycles. That'd be 26 for bus. So, see. I mean, I think it'll be important to get Georgetown County to help out a little bit on that side of the house. And so I need to get down there and chat with those folks about that. I would imagine their budget process won't start until after their sales tax initiative hits and determines whether or not that's going to be a big ticket item for them. So we'll see how that works.
Will Jean be gone after December, right?
Yes, sir.
Look at that smile on her face.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we'll see. So that I was actually down in Georgetown yesterday. A lot of workforce type stuff. Might be working on a deal with International Paper. Get Van Pool going down there and that sort of thing. So there's some stuff going on down there as well.
Where are we on the CNB loan?
Paid off. Thank you for asking that. We should have mentioned that. Yeah, that's been paid off. That was paid off on October 10th. It was, a couple days early.
Anything else for finance? Thank you, Marvin. Should say Dr. King. We don't need a compensation committee, although we are having a very short executive session to cover some contract matter. Any other committees? I don't know of any. Old business. I'm going to skip vice chair vacancy right now because we're going to be coming back to that at a different time. FTA visit.
So it is the 11th and 12th. It's designed to start the tour at 11 a.m. here. and maybe a few minutes after that, because we may take them up to the North Conway facility just to show them kind of what we're leasing. But then come down here, we're planning on doing it in the maintenance bay. So we have a lot of work to do to get that at least prepped, for that. And we need to get an invite out. I think we have saved the dates for everybody on the board for that. Definitely, need you guys here on the 11th. I think the 12th will be a little bit of, optional for everybody. I think the 12th is mostly our staff with their staff and our consultants talking about our application.
It's starting at 8, not 11, and it's a chamber, not committee center.
On Thursday, everything is gonna be in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's gonna be did I write chamber?
Yeah. And it's at
But it
8,
may, yeah,
I had 9, okay, 8 o'clock, but
8 is breakfast, 9 is the tour, and then 10 is talking application. So we'll go through our application and
Yeah.
hopefully get them to talk a little bit about how they think we can improve it. Yeah, this is December, yes, sir. So they've all gotten responses, so we've got them. I think the next big thing is to get some locally elected officials invited and RSVP'd for the event. I have a contact in Representative Fry's office, who I met the other day at an advocacy meeting. But then we'll also contact Annie and see if there's any chance. I think the federal delegation is going to be neck deep in budget discussions because their continuing resolution gets them through December 15th or something. So that week, we will offer the actual senators and representatives to come see us on Friday. Typically they'll do a fly-in either on Monday morning or Friday afternoon. I'm sure that will be predicated on whether or not they've gone through the budget process or not.
who's your contact?
Just to give a tour.
Office?
Jerry. Yes. And then,
Bert and I met him also.
yeah, so, I think him and Heather Emmons Crawford is still in that office as well. And Annie from DC might be interested to come down. I don't even know if she stepped foot in South Carolina yet. So,
Yeah, she said, when I had invited.
since she took this job, but
Oh, she said it's been her
she went to
starting time.
Clemson.
Yeah. That's her next time she's down.
I was very impressed with her, as you were,
Yeah.
when we met her
We
in
were. She was
DC.
one of the
She's
best.
pretty.
We met all the,
We're wondering how Russell landed her.
for being a junior guy, she was, well.
She was outstanding, so.
Let me ask you a question, and maybe Lauren would answer this too. Like, if you're going to send an invitation, say to my county councilman or my state rep and stuff, when do I follow up with and what? Like a phone call, a card?
We will have that laid out for you.
Okay.
Soon, soon, yeah.
We're working on the list right now and we'll do
Okay.
just blast them out and let everybody else know too.
Yeah, well, just let us know it. I mean, what works, a phone call or note, personal handwritten note kind of thing, both, a visit, I don't know.
I think,
Minimal arrangement maybe.
yes, we also need to find out when admin committee is at meeting over at Horry County, so I can go and we can personally.
When do you anticipate sending out the invitation?
It's such a tricky thing because you don't want to send them out too soon because then they forget. I would say it's like a month out, so especially because it's December, so I would say the next week or two.
Maybe right after the election kind of
Or
thing.
at least a save the date and. So the big thing on the federal side, I think Tim Scott is extremely important in this process. Primarily because he's slated to take over the banking committee. In the Senate, which is where reauthorization happens and he'll have some pull there, which we'll need his pull for our application, so.
I'd like to hear, Eugene, on the date when these invites are going out. I don't think we let you finish your thought.
Well, it should be done later because it's so busy. And possibly,
Okay.
And then sometimes they, you lose energy on the back end too, so like Brian said, I think we'll send like a save the date, and then we'll send like a little fluffed out or a fully formed agenda, and then follow with that.
Well, wait a minute, is it gonna be fully formed or is it gonna be fluffed out?
Well, depends what the invites are.
I guess so. I prefer flipped out, actually. No, I'm really excited, although I feel daunted. It's gonna be a big, heavy lift to make it happen, and, we definitely need to set some other folks up for talking. So that I'm not talking the whole time.
You have enough chairs and tables?
We're gonna rent a package out there, including flooring.
Don't cover.
And I'm gonna invest in a nice, small, high-intensity projector. We need that anyway. And we have a screen somewhere.
So this is the last board meeting, full board meeting before the FTA visit. So we're gonna have to work through email or
Yeah.
OneDrives or texts or whatever we do to get everybody together.
Admin's not till December 3rd.
So we'll have to save the date out to them, but we'll hammer it home on the 3rd. I'll get on the agenda. I got other stuff I gotta talk to him about anyway. That's,
So expect to hear more about FTA because this is really critical to us. And where do decisions on grants get made? Are they in Atlanta or what?
they're actually at DOT. There's a program manager that's in charge of the evaluation process.
In DC?
In DC. And so, but, I think, when they're, especially, they're doing a lot of the congressional balancing and, all that stuff up there, they will ask, the Region 4 for input on
I
certain.
hope so, yeah.
And the guys, like we'll have, Robert Buckley here, who I really respect as, somebody who can help critique the application. He was at FRA on assignment, in fact. So, and he'll be here for the review, so I'm excited about getting him here. And obviously the administrator herself will be good to see what we're dealing with.
Hey, holiday board meeting schedule, you got this?
Yeah, there was one circulating around internally that had some training thing in there, and I may have not, like the mandatory drug and alcohol training is not for board members necessarily.
Okay.
Although if you want to come learn about, misuse of prescription drugs and that sort of thing, then you're welcome to come and check it out. But yeah, this had a pretty exhaustive list and some highlights on here. Our Thanksgiving luncheon is on the 12th, right? 14th. That week, we also have State of the Coast meetings planned. I think those are tentative still because if Ride 4 fails, then I'm gonna need some more time on what to say. So we'll push them out. To be brutally honest. So everyone at the table here is invited to our Thanksgiving luncheon. On Saturday, the 16th, that following Saturday, we are planning a regional rodeo. PDRTA has already laid down the gauntlet that they're coming down to kick our butts, so we've got to represent. And so I need some judges, if you know what I mean. To help us in that process. We need some judges. It's Saturday afternoon. Hopefully the weather will cooperate at Pelican Stadium. I would love to have you guys out there. If it's something that you can make, even if it's just half the time, and you want to do judge the passenger stop or something like that, that would be most helpful. Or enter scores or any kind of help we would take. It's got our closing days. Obviously, the FTA visits on here. Our holiday party is December 21st. Oh, I skipped over the board retreat. We are planning a board retreat on December 14th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Assuming you know, if Ride 4 passes, that'll be a very good lively discussion. If Ride 4 doesn't pass, that will be, you know, maybe we'll have alcohol. We can,
Don't say that on tape. man.
Chat
It's just-
about-
That was a joke.
yeah, that was a joke for the recording.
But you're gonna, like, on that date though. I-
We'll
lay out-
have a plan one way or the other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, in the plan, you know, assuming Ride 4 doesn't pass, the plan will be very much status quo from a financial perspective, because that's what we'll have to go on in terms of what's happening with road use fees, but it will involve cuts in service in order to make ends meet.
Right.
And obviously, I would hope to do that without any layoffs. You know, it's just a matter of not hiring drivers for a time period and we'll be fine. So I don't,
Attrition.
yeah, we'll have attrition, so. Coast Holiday Party is at the Peanut Warehouse in downtown Conway. It is Western dress.
If you want.
No, I heard that it was required that if you want to show up, you have to have a cowboy hat,
I think you have a horse. I'm gonna get a horse.
maybe some boots, and Bernie's coming in on a horse. So we got that.
White horse, I hope. For the.
White horse or black horse?
I don't know, I can put hay all over myself and I got a lot of hay.
So this lays it out. I'll put this in the board, folder so you can have it, and obviously we'll, on some of the major stuff, we'll send you guys invites.
Any other old business? Okay, we're going to new business. We have one thing on the agenda and we'll ask for other new business afterwards, but we're gonna talk about the October 2024-01 authority advertising. It's not authority, I wrote authority twice, but the advertising procedure. So you got that in your packets. And we can discuss that, Brian.
To it. Okay, so, I kind of laid this out in an email that I sent to everybody on the board. I won't go into all of the details necessarily. It's just, we were approached by Fixory Roads, which is the organization sponsoring the campaign for yes vote on the, Ride 4. And they wanted to buy bus advertising. And when they made that request, I was amenable to it. Obviously, there's some questions as to whether or not we should have been amenable to it, but I did tell them straight off that if someone who opposed the measure wanted to advertise, I would have to sell to them as well, which we would have.
And they pay full price.
And they would, you both are paying full price. And so when the buses were done, I took a picture of them and sent them to Barry Spivey and David Gilreath. Then about 20 minutes later, I got a call from the county attorney. And I told him that same thing. And so, David Jordan was, he thought that was a good answer. But then over the weekend, they came out on Friday. Over the weekend, he had conversations with the State Ethics Commission and called me on Monday and said the State Ethics Commission is fine. And so we left them up, with the caveat that we make sure that those ads say paid for in full by Fixory Roads. And which we should have put them on there and put that on there in the first place, but we immediately got those on the buses. And so, you know, if he had told me to take them down, we would have taken them down. And we would have reimbursed Fixory Roads for both the cost of the advertising as well as the production. Just putting it out there. And so the other thing that David said is that you guys really ought to have a policy. And there is a policy with a 2017 date on the server that there's no evidence that that was ever part of a resolution. Remember, we went back coming out of the FMO, we have policies and procedures. Procedures are internal. And we let you guys know what those procedures are, but they're not something that we get board approval on. policies are the overarching direction on how things go. And those are board approval. And so it was like a half page long, didn't really say much. And so I did a search on, you know, I knew Marta had a good one because I used to work there, so I know that and they have a very exhaustive one. It's 5 pages long. But it's set up for bus and rail and shelters, all of which is contracted out. They have multiple contractors that take care of all that for them and just give them a check at the end of the month, which is something I think we need to do on the road, because it is a pain in the neck. Obviously, they have a lot more inventory than we do. And so I pared that down. And as I said in my email, they specifically prohibited special elections, candidate elections, and referenda.
But can you address why this policy started with or an ad for a referendum and doesn't mention referendum?
Well, I think that it was important to put a policy before the board that didn't prohibit any existing. There was something else in there that, like we have KED, right? We have
We used to
plasma,
have KED
yeah.
come off.
But I mean, there were some things in there from, like,
Tattoos?
yeah, well, like, sexual education type stuff that, they were prohibited that I know we've got like, I can't think of some of the, I mean, we've had some Planned Parenthood type ads and stuff like that. I don't think that they allow those either on those. And so took some of that out as well because I knew we had done that, at least done that in the past. And obviously this is a dynamic document, it's something that we can change down the road. And I think, the milk is spilt on, as it relates to this referendum, but if, there's enough uncomfortableness in it that we probably won't, under my tenure, won't do it again,
And we could add that to the policy.
And we can add it to the
That-
policy later.
So that ad is off the bus and
Right.
we wouldn't be in violation of our own policy.
How many of our buses in the fleet are unwrapped? If 5 more people came up and wanted to buy a wrap, how many don't have something on it right now?
Depending on what you mean by wrapped.
What is the equation of the right?
Almost every one of them is.
That's what I'm saying. So if if the Conservation League came up tomorrow and said, we want to offset the ride for, we don't have 2 vehicles to put on anyway, right?
We would take we have some
Yeah, we
on there.
would something figured out.
That we can
Okay.
peel off and reapply.
I didn't say we start turning down I know back to the lawyer, you pretty well limited to where the current guy who's got it on back could not do the whole fleet.
And that was another one.
Yeah.
Attorneys can't advertise on MARTA.
We did.
And I'm like, that's been our bail. I mean, we've doubled our marketing.
Okay.
Uh,
Lawyer said before that.
because of that.
Let who we market with now have the whole fleet. Another lawyer came in.
Right.
We could,
Like we had Planet Fitness want to come in and do the whole thing. They want to do full bus wraps on every bus. Like I can't do that because we lose our trade dress.
Our trade dress. that's
Trade
right.
dress.
trade dress.
So, and so that's why in the policy, there's a statement in there that says they have to have our logo. If they're taking up a full side of a bus, they have to have our logo and bus number in their advertising, prominently displayed.
Nobody's more protective of our brand probably than, if not you, me.
Yeah, we try to take care of that. So yeah, there's some old stuff out there that, has run its thing. We just haven't taken it on because it costs money to take it off. You'd
Yeah.
rather put something over it or, do that type of thing than have to pay the money to take
Actually,
it off.
newer ones, we do have removal built in.
Built in. Right, yeah, so those went on new flyers, which are painted buses. Sometimes you're putting a wrap on top of a wrap, things like that. So you gotta be careful with how all that gets
Stuff
done.
in rough on your
But
house.
we would have found spots if the Coastal Conservation League or somebody came to us on that side, so. But everybody who's commented on this has a good point. We're on the edge,
Right.
and I acknowledge that. But
Well, we're on the right side of the edge, although it's the edge. I mean, if the ethics commission says it's okay.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not illegal, you know, from that perspective. But I don't like, I don't like that, you know, having it on that, you know, in that vernacular any more than anybody else does.
Well, then maybe.
Did you guys know why?
And after that bus has got that ad removed, we should add the referendum so that if anyone comes forward with a referendum, well, here's our policy.
I think it's important from David's perspective that we produce a policy that allows it. And then we can do whatever we want later, so that he's got a paper trail. And I really appreciated, you know, how he handled that whole situation.
I think whoever on your staff wrote what 3 pages is a very, very good writer.
I had to take out some of the legalese, but you know, one thing that the Marta one had was a Georgia statute that defines obscenity. And I'm like, oh man, I hope South Carolina has one. Oh, they got a good one. So it's like, that's in there. So we're not having to define what's obscene.
Yeah, good, that's not our job.
So, it's, you know, I'm happy to answer any questions.
You go to page 3 and you're gonna answer my question here. I think you already did.
Is it the trade risk?
Yeah, trade dress. I just not heard that term before.
Apparently it's a marketing term because I didn't know what it
Yeah,
was.
I'm a
either.
marketing major
I had to
in
look
college.
up.
I haven't been awarded that then.
So,
I did, I Googled it. Is that
You
what you
Googled
said?
it?
Right, I did.
oh, that makes me feel better.
I have never heard that, and I would just call it brand. That's a brand,
Yeah,
but I guess,
I can change it to brand.
that reads fine. I think the whole thing reads well, but those 2 words, I said, what in the hell is that?
it was like, I mean, that's what I assumed when I read it, but I was like, look Google and see.
Yeah.
What she said.
And that's kind of what I,
That's what I read it when I saw it.
yeah, that's how I read
I
it.
did, and I said, what is that? What I read.
I did leave in like the candidate elections,
Yes.
like individuals or groups, which I think is important.
Yeah, and I think if we had referendum following, removing that, we'll be covered. But we'll say what we want, you know, that's what we want to do or not want to do.
Right.
Let's go back to Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
Does that fit in the,
Consultation.
my wife would love it. I just,
I think we allow it. I'm trying to. Like I was interested, like what you all thought about tattoo parlors. I mean, tattoos are a much more
yeah.
common thing these days. Look, I mean, I just got a nasty look from Candace on that, but
If you got something on there for, back to Planned Parenthood, if someone came in tomorrow, wanted to put an ad for pro-life.
We-
You see.
that's different than Planned Parenthood.
Well, it is,
That's different.
depends who you.
So pro-life we'd have issues with because that's a political issue that we don't want to take sides with. But Planned Parenthood is a service that is provided to,
Women, but a third of it is against the pro-life. It's political, but not tyrant, and they don't separate their budgets.
yeah, I don't know what to tell
My
you.
wife would love it. My wife
Right.
is happy you're doing what you're doing, but I can see someone taking exception to that.
I mean, I liked how they used the ad council. So if it's something that's approved by the ad council, then we can do it.
I don't see a problem with tattoos. I mean, if they're legal, we hire people with tattoos.
Yeah, so I mean, we could take that out. You know, I don't know if, you know, it was massage and tattoo parlors, but
Well, massage parlor has even that. I mean, people get, you know, medical massages, but there is a connotation to that.
parlors.
Yeah.
So look, there's no pressure on having a vote today.
I think.
But,
Well,
you know, we could push it to December if you all want to think about it. I mean, I know I kind of slipped it in under the wire, but, I do want to get something over to David at some point.
Well, let me ask for a motion and a second, and then
Yeah.
you can ask for more discussion if we need that. And
Let me
then,
read it.
okay, yeah.
Waccamaw Regional Transportation Authority Resolution Number October 2024-01, approval of the authority advertising policy. A motion by the Board of Directors for the Waccamaw Regional Transportation Authority to approve the authority's advertising policy.
Do I have a motion to accept, to pass this resolution?
so moved.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Knowing that this can be and most likely will be modified in the future. Is there any discussion?
I think it's
I'd
well
just
written.
like
in a short
to
time
make
frame.
a conversation. And, I just think that perhaps we may be in, maybe an invitation for controversy. I don't think we need any kind of controversy at this point associated with, the agency. And what we may not see, we don't know what lies down the road. What if something comes up that you really, really do not want on the buses, but it falls within whatever policy we have established, what are we going to do? I can't give you an example of what possibly may come up. That, even though we're not endorsing it, but it's on our buses.
So, but what would be the alternative to, like, have to have no policy and then we just decide as we go along? Is that what we're suggesting? Is that what I'm not sure what, would that be the alternative, just to decide case
If
by
it's controversial,
controversial?
What would be, gives you much flexibility, and no policy.
Oh, no, I think we need a policy. We should have had a policy a long time ago. And I think Lily Jean, I'm trying to find, there's language in here on an appeal process.
Yeah,
And obviously, if we've got someone who wants to advertise that we think is questionable, we would come to the board before we did it.
Yeah. Do we have a statement of reserved right
Yeah.
not to?
the very end.
Do we? Yep.
You can do it, or you can designate someone to be the arbiter. I
Where
think.
is that?
It's paragraph 7 on the last page.
The authority reserves the right to adjust for. Do you remember the, you type it in,
Isn't that covered in paragraph 7?
that's related to rates. Hang on a minute. Okay, so here it is. So upon such, so it shall refer all such advertising, hang on, so I can read it. Shall refer all such advertising that falls or may fall into any of the categories defined above to the authority's representative responsible for administering the advertising program, who shall determine whether the proposed advertising will be accepted. If the proposed advertising is rejected, the party or parties proposing it may request that this decision be reconsidered. Upon such request, the authority's representatives shall consult with the authority's chief counsel and with its general manager or an officer designated by him or her for this purpose. The general manager or his or her designee on the basis of such consultations shall determine whether the proposed advertising will be accepted or rejected. So I guess it stops with me. We could add a sentence in here that basically says, you know, I would come to the board if it's something that I think I need help with. Something along those lines.
Or a lawyer too.
Yeah,
Does this speak to your concern, Willie Jean?
for the lawyer having the last say so instead of the board.
I would too. I mean, it came to the board, I think what the lawyer says, what my response would be at this table.
okay. So like, we don't have a chief counsel the way this, I mean, I would say,
Legal representation.
you know, with authorities, legal representation.
It protects you if you get sued.
So how's it gonna read now?
It would just say, I gotta go to the Word version. This is the PDF version. Upon such request, the authority's representative shall consult with the I would say authorities, general manager or officer designated by him for this purpose with consultation with legal representation. Along those lines. There's too many withs in there.
Let's get it settled before we,
Yeah,
Yeah, let me go to the word.
we can't, yeah.
'cause we really need an amendment to the motion.
Right. Bear with me.
Yeah, yeah, take your time.
Any of our transits have advertising on the sides of them?
No.
That's totally.
Oh, we have, they have, it's just I don't know, and it's one of those things, I don't know if there's a fee on it. But I've had some discussions with
I
some
guess
other
How about
attorneys.
over town more than our big buses?
Yeah, I know.
Like, I mean, I thought we was wanting to buy some advertising.
I feel, to me, that feels like that's a whole other. I think if I would visit that if we have, when we bring on this agency to
this-
handle it.
I guess, but in this whole thing, we talk about buses and we talk about rolling stock. We interchange the words in two different kinds. I thought that must be deliberately in case we wanted to put something on
Yeah.
a non-bus. Is that not correct? This whole thing written, we use buses a couple of times, we say rolling stock in other places.
I didn't pick that up, but now that I think about it, you're right. Yeah.
That's written by Red. Oh, I guess we can start putting stuff on transits.
Yeah, gosh, that I would, when we eventually get a transit advertising partner, managing the details of all this and then adding a whole other fleet is like a full-time job for somebody. Just the on and off and the setting at the time. I mean, it's like you have to rely on the fleet. It's challenging.
I can imagine that, but really, that was not the intent when we use rolling stock versus buses.
Yeah, they're, from our
I need to-
perspective, they're synonymous.
Trying to-
Rolling stock for MARTA also includes the rail cars. That's why they
I
use it.
I think I'd leave it in there, because I could
Yeah.
see someone, a lawyer, want to put something on the back of one of our transits.
Sure.
I see those things over town, not just on our fixed routes.
Okay, so here's what I did. Let me see if I can make this.
Yeah, I haven't wanted to take that on. I can barely hold on to the one I got.
This is the highlighted portion in yellow.
Does that replace something or just?
So what I did is I took the reference to the authority's chief counsel
Mhm.
out of it. So upon such request, the authority's representative shall consult with the authority's general manager or officer designated by him or her for this purpose. The general manager or his or her designee, in consultation with legal representation, shall determine whether the proposed advertising will be accepted or rejected. Sound good?
Did we have a motion to amend the resolution to read in the highlighted form?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on the to amend the motion? Okay, all those in favor of amending the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? The motion carries. Okay, so now we're back to.
Was that an opposed?
No, that
That was a late.
Just delayed, okay.
Yeah. So now we're back to the motion as including this highlighted section. Okay, is there any discussion on the motion? Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the motion as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, are there any opposed? Okay, the motion carries.
Robert would be proud.
You did.
That was very nice. Very well done, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Well done.
That's why you're in the chair. Seriously.
Yeah,
Pass it. Yeah, okay, that passed my.
That is right.
yeah, here's what I got.
You got it. There you go. So, I think that's everything on,
Okay, moving down the agenda here. Okay, general manager's report.
is there any other new business?
Any other new business? I screwed it up.
There you
After
go.
all those.
After all that.
We're gonna sign this before we leave today?
Yeah, it's coming around.
Good.
It's coming around. And I appreciate everyone's candor.
Did you
Well,
read it?
all you're signing is the resolution, but I will update the thing and put it and attach it to the back.
Is there any other new business? Might add. Okay, seeing none, hearing none, general manager's report.
Just a couple of things. I think I got a little bit of good news out of state DOT about well, I'm inferring. They asked me for our TAN plan because it sounds like they're trying to put together a vehicle procurement.
M plan.
Yes, our transit asset management plan, which we do ourselves rather than have the state do it for a number of reasons, but that is good that they're contemplating some bus buys. And he just called me while I was sitting here this morning, so that was good that they asked for that. I wanted to give everybody an update on triennial. You may remember that we had 4 findings. 2 were under DBE, 1 was under procurement, and 1 was under Title VI, which is civil rights. Under the first DBE, there were 4 corrective actions. And 3 of those are still open in that we need to submit a new DBE goal, which I'll be doing by the end of the week. And then establishing procedures on making sure that the goal is updated in a timely fashion. And then some training for those of us internally that have to be aware of what the DBE goal is. Everybody know what a DBE goal is? Disadvantaged business enterprise. We have to have a good faith effort towards a certain percentage of our expenses, our contracts going to DBE certified vendors. Candy's Construction, for instance, who does all our bus stop work, is a disadvantaged business enterprise.
We never had trouble meeting our previous set of goals. We just didn't have some of this written. Is that right?
Thank you for asking me that, because that is the second finding, which was that we did not prepare shortfall analysis in FY '22. And so, first of all, not sure which goal we're supposed to be using for our shortfall analysis. We did a goal back in 2018, which is the last goal that FTA concurred with, which is like 6 and change, 6.18%. And we updated that goal in FY '21.
Raised it.
No, we lowered it down to like 5 and change, 5.25 or whatever the percentages. It turns out, looking back at our reports, that our initial report, you do 2 reports a year, one for the first 6 months and one for the second 6 months in a fiscal year. The first 6 months in FY '22, we were at 4%. So we did not meet the goal, and therefore would have had to require, we'd have to do a shortfall analysis. But the second half, we did 16%. So on the whole year, we were at 11%, which exceeds both goals. And so I have submitted that on the claim to say, look, I don't think a shortfall analysis was required because shortfall analysis is based on a full fiscal year. They haven't come back to answer that, so I'm a little bit, maybe rattle their chain a little bit on that. And so there were 3 corrective actions on this finding as well. 2 of them I've applied to be closed because I think we met whichever goal they want to look at, we met over the course of the year. And there's some training aside, on making sure that the shortfall analysis happens. that we will accomplish in the training that we do for the first DBE finding.
Who in your staff monitors this for you?
It's a combination of us. It's not something that we monitor per se. I mean, we have certain contracts that we know have to have DBE, requirement in order to meet the goal. And we use the consultants to give us reports on how they're doing on that. So like the facility project has a number of DBEs. Like, we're using a DBE to do the soil sampling.
I think you need a single belly button that just makes sure that this is all being done.
Well, we sort of do it in arrears.
Well, it's
And
an
that's-
E though, not a one.
Well, I mean, it's finance. I mean, they're looking at, the checking account and, which vendors are getting paid.
To answer my question is finance,
Procurement probably should be the.
the one we don't have the vacancy on. Okay.
That should have been my original answer. We spent way too much time on that.
Well, and the we's and the they's, you get one of these and nobody does it, then you end up missing a goal.
So that's a good segue. We had findings under procurement that basically said procurement policies were not followed. We had trouble finding the procurement documentation for a small contract and like an $18,000 contract that we purchased consulting to help us with the development of all our paratransit documentation. It was the ADA guru. We have since found that documentation and turned it in. And then we had to go through the procurement manual and do some training. So Candace and Renee and I sat in here for a couple of hours and went through the procurement manual, soup to nuts. And Renee does probably the bulk of their procurement anyway, because it's all, all the parts and all that stuff has to be done. And so those corrective actions are resolved, done with that particular one. And then the fourth one is to submit a new Title VI program, and it's due on March 31st. So we'll get that done prior to it. So
Title VI hasn't changed. Why do we need a new program?
we went through a census data is updated, needs to be updated. So our Title VI program got good marks. The one that's in place is just overdue. It should have been turned in this February, earlier this year. And so they gave us a little bit of time to kind of work through that. It also needs to have a public involvement process. So we'll try to do that when and if we're doing the fair stuff.
How do you do that? Just for education.
Well, I mean, I think the biggest point to a Title VI program is making sure that everywhere you have touch points with your customers, that they know who they need to contact if they feel like we're violating their civil rights.
So the public involvement, how will you, a newspaper ad or what, how will you?
Well, no, I mean, we'll publish the document, and have public meetings. Usually don't get a whole lot of, do it in conjunction with something else. Like we have public meetings coming up with the work that Kimley's doing for,
You just tag in for that,
for the COG.
everybody shows up.
We'll tag on to that.
I look for the Title VI announcements on the bus, and I'm probably the worst person in the world to look for them. But is somebody looking for them? Is somebody checking the buses to make sure they're all on there? Are they all on there? Does anyone know?
Doug says yes.
Doug says yes.
Where are they typically?
On the driver? Yeah, I thought I see him. But...
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And it's a phone number, basically, who you call if you feel like you're right.
Yeah, a little bit of text.
Yeah.
Good.
Any questions on triennial? I couldn't have been more excited with how triennial went. I was nervous as hell going into that, and we tribute to staff. We were doing pretty good on that front. Nothing in maintenance, nothing in finance of any ilk. So we got through that process really well, and we're complimented by FTA about it. So it was good. And Candace is doing a good job helping me get through of actions. Trams, we've got a lot of work. between now and the end of the week, because we've got to get our milestones, and that's why Ron left, because he's working on financial reports for our 4 open grants at FTA. We've started the NTD process on the rural side. Got some stuff to send to SCDOT on that. The NTD for the urban side is due January 31st. And I'm doing my 6-month DBE reports so that we don't get that finding again. So in general, a lot going on, but we're muddling through it.
Wasn't there a facility deadline this month? Or was that changed to early November?
Facility deadline, yes. So the parcel, we heard back from the owner's representation that they wanted to go get their own appraisal. And they needed a date certain on when they needed a response so that he could go back to the owner and said, hey.
Okay.
And so that is November 7th. So whether we hear from them or not on November 7th, we'll be filing paperwork the next week. And so, I mean, I guess only other part of that conversation that you all should know about is that the representation said that the owners actually had this parcel on the market for 300,000 per acre. And our offer is in the neighborhood of 210, 212. But they got no bites on it for that amount. I'm not sure when that happened, because if they were in receipt of our letter and put it out on the market, they've got to notify potential buyers that, you know, the government has their eyes on this parcel. Regardless,
That's without appraisal. I mean, they just,
right.
that's what they.
Right. So I'm hopeful that, you know, that appraisal will be fairly close to ours. And there's an outside possibility that we can just negotiate a final price and be done with it. And so hopefully that happens. All the money is in place for when that happens. So if we're filing that paperwork, we have access to the funds to put the total purchase price in escrow. And so then we'll be in control of the property.
Have barn dance out there.
So, and you know, part of the tour will be the Kimley Horn is developing a really large size board that will show a rendering, like a street view rendering of the parcel for when we do our tour out there.
You're taking people off the bus to look at this thing.
And we'll potentially put that on a sign there, you know, once we are in control of the property.
Yeah.
Just to let people know we're coming. Yep.
Right, anything else for general manager report?
Just waiting for November 5th.
Waiting for November 5th. Do I have a motion on that?
Vote yes, please.
Good of the order.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Just anything that doesn't necessarily need voting or anything like that. It's just something to information wise.
That was added to the agenda by
Okay.
a previous chairman.
Next week, I'm gonna ask, next month, I'm gonna ask the Marvin for
For something. You need
anything good.
to offer something for the good of the order.
Okay, yeah, well,
See, I could have asked about, you're buying chairs for the back.
that's right. That would have been good.
A good place to do that.
Good of the order one?
Anything else for the good of the order?
Started?
No.
Yeah, I will say this, I'm on Chicago and we had a deal here in Conway,
Oh, yeah.
can't believe it was the first of the month, I guess. And 14th, and y'all drove the board around. We had one member that did have a lot of trouble, mobility issues, and the driver was wonderful. And they took us all,
Thank you.
all through town and all.
Good to hear.
But they really helped, it was former mayor side, but they had him in and out and doing it. And I was impressed at how attentive he was and all that. So I guess I didn't get his name. To the
Who
driver.
drove that? Do we know? Yeah, not surprising.
We're good.
Yeah.
Evan.
Anthony Simon.
He did very good.
Yeah.
Pretty good job. So Thank you.
Well, that was very good. Thank you for that.
That was definitely for the good of the.
That was.
Spot on, Randall. Spot on.
Great. Any announcements? Okay, we have executive session. It's going to be very short. We'll come back and adjourn afterwards. People, staff does not need to return. And Brian, you're welcome to stay.
Okay.
Do we have announcements or was that the announcement? What ran?
There were no announcements.
I make a motion that we go into executive session.
Okay, we'll hear a second. Second for the vote.
Second.
Executive. We have a motion. Okay, any discussion? All in favor of going into executive session, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you all very much. Marty, Lauren,